What's up, everyone? It's your lady Amy the Seventh with another episode of Pretty Woman Speaks. And no, I don't have a pretty woman this episode, but I have one of the finest men as my friend, Damen Tolbert, aka Nxt Dimension, and we met at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, the best class to roll in 2009. Say what up, Damon.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Oh nine in the building.
Absolutely, absolutely. We stayed at the Plex, and I still have not been back to the Plex because my name was on a plaque there, and I want to see if the honor crew. I get it. You have it does something to you when you see your name in print.
hmm
So if your name has never not been in print, I advise you to get it printed.
Put it on your own door, make you feel special.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you, when I was going over, I was talking to him before we started recording, and I was like, his resume is next level. I'm usually told my resume is impressive, but I think he might got me beat just a smidge there because he has all the creative arts. I call him definitely a musical genius because he composed, he produced, he writes. I mean, he is definitely the marching machines of the South.
Marching musical machines of the Mid South. Yeah.
Yeah, the mid South. He look. He already knows. He comes from the South Side of Chicago. Yeah, got to represent the Midwest
Yeah.
all the way to Arkansas Pine Bluff. I don't know if y'all know where that is, but that's like 30 minutes south of Little Rock, the capital. And so he and I met, like I said, at the Plex. We've been friends since 2009. But I want to get into Damon, who the man is, because he is someone to know. And if you have not listened to any of his music, he's definitely going to drop where you can find that in just a little bit. But Damon, I really want to talk to you about. You say you come from a musical family. Who else writes? You got singers. Tell me about this musical background you have.
Yeah. So the first musician I know of my family is my father. He is a wonderful vocalist. Not necessarily a songwriter, but he's a DJ. That was the main thing that was my dad growing up. So between being drugged to choir rehearsal and having to sit through all of that, and then he also sang in his own group outside of church where they actually toured different churches around Chicago and stuff. Uh, Ironically, based off of like literally the same friend group he had in high school that he was singing with. He grew up to sing gospel with,
Oh wow.
and later. So watching him sing and then watching my dad do DJ gigs, it was really my intro into music. And I didn't even know how much I was learning from those situations until, later on in life. And I look back and it's like, oh yeah, my dad does that. Or, oh yeah, that used to happen in church all the time. I'm like, oh wait, these are like big production experiences. These are musical experiences that I was around for, that I was absorbing. That and then with my dad's side growing up in the church, we had some cousins that were musicians as well. So pretty much at every family reunion, eventually a small band or at least a quartet, of singers would get together, and there's always singing in the household and stuff like that. My mom, she can sing, like I've heard her sing, but she's never been a performer. Um, and then when it comes to, oh yes, and my grandfather and grandmother, they were both in choir. They were in like madrigal ensembles in the South Side, all black madrigal ensembles in the South Side. Is such dope stuff. Um, and so like music was never not a part of my life. It didn't become a focal part of my life until I got into it myself in high school. My brother though, oh man, my brother is quite the artist. And I say artist, I mean full deal. He is a poet, so of course that leads into being a lyricist. He is a musician, makes his own beats, produces his own stuff. He's a phenomenal dancer, crowd MC. My brother is an amazing performer, and I'll say that anything that I can't do on stage, he can, like, and vice versa and stuff like that. So between my dad and my brother, that would be like the closest to music in the family. My mom's side isn't so artistic, and not too many other family members. I hear about my cousins being artistic, but they're like older cousins and stuff like that. But that was me and music in the house.
Okay. So I'm loving is that you come from a home just full of music, vibrancies. I mean, there really is not a down moment that's there when you all can just tap in into your artsy side. I mean, that's really
Hmm.
important, especially nowadays, to have the ability to tap into the left side of your brain. But
Hmm.
I love that you and I share that we were band geeks in high
Hmm.
school because I played band from sixth grade all the way up through to high school, my senior year, and part of me I regret not doing it in college. You know, looking back at it,
No, no, you did just fine. You did right. You did right. Shoot.
no, no, that's what chased me off. I was like, they're way too committed for me. I don't know if I have that in me, but I'm definitely amazed to see how much dedication was on that field. So tell me, how has music changed your thoughts on life
Man, um, so I don't know how much you are into martial arts. Have you ever done martial arts
as a kid?
as a kid? So you understand that it's a discipline of body and mind, right? Well, music is I see it as my martial art. It's changed for me over time, but I did want to kind of address the whole band geek thing that you
Yeah.
said,
Okay.
because I'll
Okay.
say this
Address
straight
it.
up. I started at 15 years old in high school, simply because I was interested in playing a saxophone since I
Okay.
was like 10 years old, and my dad never got me a saxophone. So it wasn't until beginning band that I actually got an instrument in my hands.
Okay.
And but before then, I was really heavy on video games.
Okay.
And so all that creative and the tactile and the like all the obstacles that came from music, I kind of equated to obstacles of video games and stuff. So it was
Right.
just a new level, a new thing to tackle, a new technique to get, like a new move to get.
Yeah.
Um, and I was quiet before a band, before music. I didn't really know how to speak to people. I really didn't know how to express myself. I didn't have too many close friends through elementary or middle school, realistically. So with band, it was my first chance to like start expressing myself out loud. And like the wonderful part was that they told me to play out. They told me to sing out, and I'm like, "What? You mean to tell me I'm supposed to yell at the top of my lungs and play loud? And if I'm wrong, oh well." That sounds like love to me. Like I've always wanted to be in that environment to express myself like that. And because like I transferred my brain from video games to the instrument, I ended up getting good at it faster than I expected to. Not to mention the ear training I've been getting from growing up under my dad. So I ended up picking up music really, 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 really fast. And so within a year and a half, like I opened up myself socially. I got more friends. I was able to express myself more. I felt more confident about myself. I ain't gonna lie, I dropped like 50 pounds in a year. Because my 15-year-old self forgot to eat in the morning, and I had enough energy to last through the day. So guess where all those calories are going. Um, so I dropped weight. Girls thought I was cute. Thought I had some clout. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have
Yeah, a
to be the
little
cool
bit.
kid, but everybody knew me.
Yeah.
So high school and band was really a pivotal part because it really changed my life. It really allowed me to have a voice for a change, and it wasn't. And I say this: I was either going to be an astronaut or a musician. Like that was
Either
it.
way, you was gonna be out the world with it. I understand.
Yeah, because and the reason why I chose music is because we've already done math, and one plus one is always going to equal two. So it didn't matter how much I was going to learn about math. To me, I was eventually going to get bored. I saw that for myself. Music ain't no one plus one. This is one plus whatever equals what I gave you, and you tell me what happened. And it's so many things to it. So I love the fact that it was simultaneously an expression, a science, and an art as well at the same time. So it hit, like you said, left brain, but like scientifically speaking, in school, the only activity that has you use your left and your right brain equally is to perform music.
Wow.
Yep. There is
Okay.
Yeah, like scientifically, there's no other thing that's happening in school that has your left and your right brain working at full capacity except in music. And a lot of non-music parents and a lot of non-music people kind of downplay the importance. Like, well, I don't want to be a professional musician, so I'm not going to be in bands. It's like, no, it's not about that. Like, it's not about that. No, you're not in gymnastics so that you can be Simone Biles. You're doing it for flexibility.
Ooh,
You know what I'm
big
saying?
flex.
You know what I'm saying? It's so I love the fact that it's so many levels to expressing music, just the way there's so many levels of being and expressing yourself. And kind of like the martial arts, over time it's come from, a video game to being a competition to being, a self-expression, to now it's my self mastery. It's the conduit in which I use to master myself. Because realistically speaking, it's not just with music. I chose music, but any art that you do, the same issues you come up to your art is the same issues you have in real life.
You've said a lot, but what makes me think about when you said composing and performing and playing music,
Hmm.
it is self mastery. It makes me think about the direction of where our music is going now. Do you see self mastery in the music that is heard more on a mainstream level? Is there a self mastery there?
No, the I would say the real heroes and the demons, really the real demons of the current music industry are the songwriters and the A&Rs, because they understand psychology. They understand how to use words, pitches and rhythms in order to excite your brain to make you to open up for any message it wants to put in. And no, there is not about self mastery, because right now, music and most art is under a revenue model. It's not under an art model. It's not about expression. It's about how much money we can get on the other side of it. And so for that, you have people who are absolute geniuses in the art form, but because their expression doesn't make money, you'll never hear them. And so no, with mainstream music, and if you look at the history of mainstream music, it has never been about the art, ever, ever. We got close. We were getting close towards the 60s and 70s when it was okay to speak against the man, but eventually Big Money shut that down and just turned all the messages around anyway. The music industry is owned by the same people who run the freaking television commercial industry. It's all commercials, and it's either a commercial to sell a product or to sell a mindset. And if you can sell a mindset, you can sell a whole bunch of other products.
Wow. I'm just like blown away because because you've studied this. He has a bachelor's, right? Let me check
Hmm.
my notes, make sure I got his in music sound recording tech. And then
Hmm.
he turned around and got his master's degree, right, in music education.
Hmm.
So, this guy right here lives, speak, and breathe when it comes to music. So he understands, the rhythm behind the blues when it comes to music. That's why I really wanted to ask him, is there a self mastery? Do you like the direction the music industry is going?
No, and there is no straight up way to get a hold of it. At this point, we're in a society where the music creates the culture. When up until about the late 80s, the culture was making the music. But when essentially, I kind of put the pivot at the Run DMC song "My Adidas," because that was the first rap song to have a corporate sponsorship, and that's when everything changed. After that, it's about how do we get that over and over again. How do we get rap to sell alcohol? How do we get rap to sell this? How do we get rap to sell that? Well, how about we make it so that it looks like that's the thing to do? Then everybody will want to do what the rappers are doing, and then eventually it just becomes the culture and the lifestyle that's synonymous with the music, synonymous with the people, when that's not the case. I don't like the direction that it's going. I don't know. I've beat my head up against the wall trying to figure out how to do anything about it, but I can't do it by myself. And ultimately, what I believe needs to happen is that, um, when I say us, I mean black people from America, because we created this music, all of it. What we need to do is we need to get off the internet, and we need to get off of off of TV, and we need to get back into record stores and get to talking to each other. That's the only way that the industry is going to pay attention and start to pivot, because they'll move when we move. If we want more conscious stuff, the industry will produce more conscious stuff, and then slowly pivot it back to the bad stuff over time. But they gotta catch us first, you know, and that comes from them having to chase us. So they're always chasing us. They're always studying us. They ask us for our lingo. They ask us what's going on. They ask us for our culture so they can turn that into lyrics. And so if we keep giving them all this information and then we keep accepting this image of ourselves, then no, we have no direction over the music. You know, and the part that I'm avoiding, that I hadn't said, is that ultimately it's a money game. You know, the reason why Fox News is not because they give the most accurate information. It's because they have enough money to run several TV stations for 24 hours. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's not about the news. Like, it's like the music. It's not about you know what I'm saying? Rockefeller doesn't have the best artists. They have the highest budget to promote their artists. And that's what it's all about. And even any record label, any music deal is essentially a bank loan, because you do have to pay it back. So at that point, then it's all a money model from the jump, you know, because why would I invest in something that's going against the establishment? Why would I, like, if I got stake in this liquor company, if I'm over here, what is if I'm Ace of Spades, why would I invest in an artist that's talking against drinking? That doesn't even make sense to me
Right. Doesn't make
financially.
sense at all.
Yeah, if you want to talk against drinking, find some other label. But those other labels don't have my budget, and that's all it is. It's all about who can make the loudest noise, because they understand. Every good marketer understands that it's all about time in front of the people's face, and you can tell somebody a lie over and over again, and eventually they'll believe it. And it's not because they're stupid. It's literally a subconscious psychology reaction that you have to receiving information over and over again. It's gonna get rewritten. And like I said, those are the real demons. The people that understand how the human mind works, they can mix the art up. They can mix it up all day and stuff like that. But the only solution is if we get out of their platforms, and we stop validating their platforms. If we say that, yeah, Rockaware, they look cool, they got the biggest budget, blah blah blah, but we all decide, nah, we're not gonna watch those videos. Nah, I'm not gonna listen to that music. Nah, I want to play this instead. Best believe within a year, Rockefeller is gonna hire or get a super woke artist that's gonna talk all the good noise that you want to hear, because they trying to make your money.
Absolutely.
So the only way we can get ahead of the culture, or get ahead of the industry, is if we get behind the culture and really support us. Jill Scott was on Essence Festival. You know, she I don't know if I can cuss on this thing,
No, you
but
can do your thing, baby.
okay, yeah. So she was like, you know, y'all hearing all of this stuff that I'm hearing, that niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit. You know, everybody a bad bitch, a rich bitch, blah blah blah. She said, fuck all of them bitches, fuck all of them niggas. Where my sisters at? Where my brothers at?
Where are they?
You know what I'm saying? And then she said, hey, where they at? And then they, you know, they in the crowd. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like, yeah, our brothers and sisters are out here, but how come we so quiet? And it's not that we quiet. We just don't have a budget to compete with the noise. So we got to turn our heads and be like, hey, little bro, little sis, turn that shit off. You know, this is what the culture is about. This is what my grandma taught me. And if you really look into the African model of how we were teaching each other, it was all oral. You knew your whole family history by oral dictation, because nobody can rewrite that.
That's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? Can't nobody take that from you. It's in your head, and it literally gets passed down from one mind to the next. Ain't no tainting of that. But if you put the whole ancestry up on a billboard, and while nobody paying attention, you change a couple names here and there, you leave out a couple names, well, that's the truth.
It's, I mean, it's very, is this concerning to me to hear that from your words, because you're into this, that we're all being socially engineered to accept the niggas, the hoes, the bitches, the pimps,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be, that there's a social engineering that's happening there. And it makes me think about when my grandfather say to him, music left uh, when the instruments quit playing.
Yes. 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 Technology has been simultaneously the best and worst thing to happen to music. The best thing because now ideas that you have in your mind beyond what a physical instrument can create are now accessible. So you can really go into your imagination and pull out some sounds and make it in a synthesizer and stuff like that. The worst part about it is now people don't have to learn the craft of music in order to participate in music. So you take out the process of creating the art to create an art product, which loses the integrity of the art form.
So TikTok been a death, huh?
Bro, nah, it ain't even TikTok that did it. Let me tell you, what really, well, it was advertising that killed it, but yeah, the lack of people who sampling fucked up the entire game too. When
Yeah,
the
Prince said
instrument,
that.
yeah, because now you don't have to be a musician to capitalize off great musicians, and you ain't got to pay them. So it's a lot of, so like back in the day, in order to be a great, in order to like get picked up by a label, even if it's a label that's supporting the evil, um, you'd have to be a great artist first. Like they would pick you up off the street, but they ain't just picking anybody up off the street. They gonna hear like Anita Baker. I hear that Anita Baker was pulled out of a jazz club, wherever she was living at. Well, basically, whoever was walking by, the A&R, the person who's in charge of putting music and people together, heard her and said, "Wow, she has a wonderful sound that I've never heard before, and I think I know how to sell it. Let's get you in the studio. Let's reproduce this sound and let's flesh this thing out." And that's how music was done, for the last 200 years. But who really fucked it up was Soldier Boy. He ruined the entire game. Entire game.
Yeah, he
When
ushered in
he
dance
got
culture.
famous, when he got famous for being an asshole on the internet as a YouTube star. After that, everybody could do it. You get you a little beat machine, make you a little boom, 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 and then you come up with a little dance, and you got a hit, and you all over the country, you all over the world. And so that started the internet, music star who didn't have any talent but had great marketing skills.
Yeah, it's all about marketing nowadays.
And
Yeah.
it's always been about marketing. It really has been. And as I've done my music history research, I wanted to say that like black mainstream music that we lost our own voice, like with my Adidas and with the 80s and the when it became profitable, when rap became profitable, because it was a counterculture. You got to keep in mind, rock, blues, jazz, hip hop are all counterculture music. They were not supposed to be popular. It's all supposed to be against what's supposed to be happening.
Gotcha.
Right. And so how is it that a counterculture becomes mainstream? It's not on accident.
No.
So, and then you go back to listen to like blues and stuff like that. I'm sitting there because I'm thinking like, why in the world are all of these blues songs about cheating? Like, why in the world are all these blues songs about getting super drunk and doing something irresponsible? And then you look back and it's like, well, who was signing the record label deals? It wasn't black people.
That
So,
makes sense.
yeah, so even back then, back when Ray Charles and stuff like that, who was writing his songs? Who was doing his who was really making his records? It wasn't a black man. They were the musicians. So what the music industry has been doing for easily the past 100 years is they take people who are truly talented and have the light of God in them, like really good performers, really people who should be shining. And what they do is they say, I want you to do it like this.
Okay, they flipped the picture.
Yeah. So to me, a great example is like, to me, like a prime example is Cardi B. Because by the
She
time,
definitely changed the generation too on
yeah,
music.
because it wasn't, her music wasn't what changed the generation. It was her personality on screen.
Gotcha. Okay.
Her personality is that she really is a genuine sweet person.
Yeah.
However, the environment that she grew up in, plus the influences that she had, allowed her to make decisions that had leaded her towards being a stripper hoe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, how in the world can you have negative feelings about this sweet girl just because she a hoe? It's like when those two things ain't necessarily connected,
Right.
according to the culture. So the deal is, what they did was she's a phenomenal performer too. Like
Yeah.
that's where it starts at. She's a phenomenal. She
Absolutely.
is a bright light. When she walks in the room, she brightens it up. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is that she's doing, whether she's talking, rapping, trying to sing, whatever, she can just be herself and brighten people's smiles on her face. That's a gift. That's a gift from
It
God.
is. I agree with that.
Not everybody can produce that kind of energy and maintain it. But what the industry didn't have to do was tell her how to think. They didn't have to get her into the negativity. The situation she was born in and came through ended up where they could pick her up without having to brainwash her.
Makes sense.
So she has the light of God in her, but she's brainwashed to shine it in these directions.
Right. It makes me remember she had an interview not too long ago when was back into drill music,
Mm-hmm.
and she talked about how it started to bring up past demons that that now she's running from again because she had put them to bed, but certain type of music that she started performing in, those same demons now are back. And
Mm-hmm.
so it makes me think of just how open, as you mentioned before, how open music can have you into that direction, just by, like you said, changing the tempo in your mind, opening you up to certain vibrancies and frequencies. So it can get really scary, but I really wanted to go back to touch on when you talked
Mm-hmm.
about where was our individual voices, because my mom says all the time, all of y'all music sound the same. When I was growing up, everybody had their own style, everybody had their own
Yeah.
voice, but now everything is just like a blurry mess. Everything just sounds the same.
Yeah, it's between capitalism and mass communication. That's what ruined the individualism of music. Because the reason why, like, let's just talk about the origins of hip hop. You had your West Coast. They had their sound with how they pronounce the words, not even just even down to like the beats that they chose. Then you had the ATL sound, you had your Texas sound, you had your New York sound, you had your Midwest sound. The reason why they had their individual sounds is because they didn't know each other
That makes sense.
and they had no access to each other. So if I'm making music and all I got is the people around me and the situations around me, all I can talk about is what's around me and about how we talk. And I'm using this lingo that's all around me, not including the voices that's around. There's this the most famous saxophone player of all time is named Charlie Parker because he helped invent the style of jazz that most people borrow from now. Um, but he's super famous for being like super cold. But the thing that people don't ask is, but who taught him? And so the real answer is his whole community taught him how to play like that. That's where he came from. So by the time you see a Kansas City saxophonist named Charlie Parker, he's got this whole mess of stuff that you never heard before. Why? Because you just wasn't in Kansas City. He probably wasn't the coldest player around. He just the one that got a record deal.
See, that's how Master P kicked himself off. He went to California and brought the sound and mixed it with Louisiana, and then boom, you had how you do that there. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And what he did, I mean, that's what you like. It's kind of what you kind of supposed to do. They say if you want to make it big, you gotta leave home. It's less about the people around you hating on you and da 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 da. It's just the people around you are used to you. So your brand of excellence is one, they saw you grow up, so they don't see why it's excellent. And on top of that, it's maybe normal to them. They've been seeing, somebody who how do I say it? Simone Bowles' trainer is never impressed. I'm just gonna say it like that.
That's deep. That's deep, right? That is deep. Knowing that she has all those gold medals and stuff, and still there's a degree of I'm not impressed because you can do better than that.
Yeah, and even if you can't do better than that, I've seen your best so many times that's not that's now I try to feel like okay, let's even if that is like literally perfect, how do we get that perfect all the time?
Right.
So it's like with the different sounds, like I said, we got to get off the internet and we got to get out of these mainstream spaces and get back into the culture. Because if you talk about what's happening on literally around you, I could tell if a song was from Chicago because they would mention certain streets, and that would make me feel like home. When Kanye's College Dropout came out, um, he mentioned like certain gangs and stuff like that. My wife, who's not from Chicago, thought that he was just talking about a random group, but like, he calling out gangs. G, like that's when he talking
Wow.
about them folks over there, he's not talking about those people. He's talking about the folks. He talk about these things.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. So I mean, it's one thing because we know that hip hop has been an outlet for so many people. Ice Cube would talk about that he was a very
Mm-hmm.
angry young man, and MWA helped him express his anger in a better form. Um, how do we? How do people express themselves that's not detrimental to the culture? Because mind you, babies now they growing up, this is all they're hearing. I showed my mom on TikTok, they had their little girl singing Pound Town, and I was like, why are you even putting your baby in that vibrancy? Because that is what she's gonna grow up and think that that's what she should be. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we move to a place where we can express ourselves, our sexuality, our freedom, our anger, or whatever the case may be, and it not create trash?
Well, one, we have to understand that like self-expression and performance are two different things. Just because you're expressing yourself, that means you got to tell the whole world.
Okay.
I have a very very sexual poem that has all types of words in it, but I'm never gonna perform it on. I'm not gonna perform it on my jazz stages. Why? Because context. Like who's listening? Like why are you expressing yourself about this? You know what I'm saying? Like and express it to the audience that's gonna receive it, so that you don't get the backlash. Now, ain't no like I said I said this earlier today. You can't ever predict how people are gonna react to your stuff, but when you're talking about something that's a little bit personal. I don't care what culture I'm in. If I'm making a song about taking a dump, it's gonna be funny because it's like, why are you making a song about that? I don't care what language you put it in, right? I don't care what genre you put it in. It's some weird shit to talk about.
Yeah, it
So
is.
how come when we talk about like, popping a perk, how come we ain't like, yo, that's some weird shit to be, weird flex, bro, type stuff.
It is.
Matter of fact, and then this is where we gotta take a hold of the culture. When I was teaching at UAPB, there was a student and he was not a music major, but I let him make his music. And so he's in there, he's writing a song, and he's like, "Yo, I want to show you this." Da, da, da. And this one line stuck out of me. He was like, "Yeah, and I'm fucking her raw." And I'm saying like, "Wait a minute, wait, what? Like, you bragging about that, bro? You ain't got no job, you ain't got no money, you ain't got no house. You
But you might get a baby or a disease.
and you bragging about this, bro? Over a beat you didn't make? Like, how
Right.
delusional? Like, but then he explained to me, it's like, well, it's not that it's a flex, da da da. It's just kind of a lyric. But it's like, but that's where we have to step in. Nah, that's not us. We ain't talking about that. Not on no public forum. You can talk about that to your homies and stuff like that. Go to the burlesque show. Ask if you can get on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, if you want to talk about sex, talk about it in a sex friendly environment.
Right.
But don't put it on the radio. Why was What's Your Fantasy on the radio while we were kids?
Right. And I
Like,
knew the words verbatim and getting hit. I knew that
right,
song too.
getting some, and then they just gonna blank out the head part, like, and it's to that degree. Like we think it's on accident, but it's not. There's a reason why they would put cartoons in an adult music video.
It makes sense.
It's because they want the kids to watch it. They want the kids to download this mindset. That's why folks like that song "I Spy" by Lil Yachty.
Yeah.
You know, that song is first of all, it's in C major. There's only triads. And the initial chords are coming from an instrument that sounds like a children's toy. And then when you look at the video, they are children. The first line is I've been getting high. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's talk about, sex and all this good stuff in this very child-friendly song. And what do they use? They use a fucking nursery rhyme. Who's that for? Not adults.
Definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? Hours and hours is for adults.
Right.
Stuff like that. Even What's Your Fantasy? That's for adults who are going to party or getting freaky and stuff like that. But it should not be on the radio. What I'll like, and this something I go back like, why do you don't want to stifle their expressions like that? I'm not stifling your expressions. I'm just saying you need to be responsible. Well, who you talking to and who you talking about? You don't hear country songs about them shooting each other. When you think they shoot each other in the backwoods, you're damn right.
I know they do.
They don't make songs about fucking each other's cousins, but they do it. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? How come we the only people that have accepted that this is okay to talk about ourselves like this in public? And it's not by accident. It's like, it's not that we as a mass, and then, to me, like, people, when I say shit like that, people like, well, this you mean something wrong with the black community? The only thing that's wrong with the black community is we not comfortable admitting that we've been brainwashed in mass.
Right. That's very true. And we don't protect our children, like you said. My grandma talks about that all the time. Like, where are the defensive linemen when it comes to the kids?
My mama tells me that when we would watch like rated R movies with the family and stuff like that, she would put context to it. She'd be like, "Oh man, why did he punch that bad man?" Or like, "Why did that bad man do that bad thing?" We shouldn't do that, should we? While we're watching the movie.
Yeah.
So I don't even have time to process and tell myself that that's okay to do, because my parent already told me that that's not okay to do by the time I got a chance to process it. So the next time I do see it, even though I'm seeing the same thing, the internalization is that it's a bad thing. The second time I see it, I don't have to wait for somebody to tell me why it's bad, because the first time I seen it, my mom told me it's bad. So it allows me to say, oh, okay, yeah, my mom wouldn't let me play Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yeah.
I had that on the Sega Saturn.
You know what I'm saying? But anything that had excessive blood.
Though. I understand that, because that is a lot. That's overwhelming, overstimulating. I think a lot of people, adults, kids, babies, everybody is overly stimulated today. And there's no separation. There's nothing that can be turned off. I remember when I was a child, things could be turned off. You tired of people calling, you just snatch the phone out the hook, and you're disconnected. There's no disconnect happening now.
We're just so comfortable being connected.
Okay.
That really is it. You really could turn your phone off. Gee, I didn't learn about the beauties of Do Not Disturb until like 2023.
You just not getting to it.
Hey, it was, I don't know. Something in me was like, man, all these people calling me. Let me try to Do Not Disturb. And then like 3 hours passed, and I realized I had my thoughts to myself, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm missing text messages. But it's like, wow, I haven't had that peace in a while though.
It is. It's definitely peaceful.
Yeah, and also there's a lot to put in context, that as we live our lives, we forget, we allow ourselves to forget what life really is. And like you said, with the sensationalism and all the overstimulus, the pleasure sensors in our brains that come from our sensory organs are hackable. That's how they can make fake sugar. So you think about how they can hack your taste buds, and they can hack your nose receptors. They hack your eyes too with user-friendly designs. Certain color combinations are going to excite emotional responses in your brain. Certain frequency combinations are going to excite emotional. So we're getting brainwashed on the subconscious level
Yeah.
in mass
Yes, we are. And a lot
every
of us
day.
losing. We dying on that hill.
Right. And you said some people down that hill. And the shit that be funny to me is I be like, and people don't get when I say it's like, do you know on this and you think this is your decision?
You know, I just talked to this one lady because she was like, all my thoughts are my thoughts. I said, but how do you know all your thoughts are your thoughts? They cannot possibly be. Sometimes I have thoughts that are just insane, like doing dumb things. And I said, I know darn well I did not think of that.
Hmm. Yeah, you get you if they implant it. Another thing the enemy knows, like I studied psychology through I started studying psychology through music education because you need educational psychology.
Yeah.
But oh, and then there was this time where like my long term ex, she broke up with me, and I was really trying to figure out like to the depths of me how these great women were staying with ain't shit niggas. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to actually looked up the psychology of it.
Okay.
And it's really deep. It's really deep to the point where it's like you really don't even pick your mate with your eyes. Your subconscious picks it based on genetic matches.
Mm.
Yeah, and we think
Yeah.
that we think we going out on a date because she fine. Nah, there's way more going on than that. You think that you gonna put up with him because he makes you feel a type of way. Well, yeah, it's because he's exciting X, Y, and Z centers in your brain, and you getting this chemical whenever this happens, and technically you're addicted. You know,
That makes sense.
yeah, and it's not to say that, oh man, I didn't know all of this stuff was going on, so I'm stupid. Nah, you are ignorant, which means you're unaware. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of freaking information out here to process.
Overwhelming
And
information.
yeah, and even that, like, I would like to challenge that it's not overwhelming. We
Okay.
have yet to find out what the flash drive only has 16 gigs of storage, and once you hit that
Mm-hmm.
storage limit, you're done. You can't put no more information on there, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
yet to find out the storage capacity of the human brain.
That makes sense. But I'm saying why I say it's overwhelming is
Okay.
because most people can't comprehend. And so sometimes like those hoteps or the Nation of Islam, to
Mm-hmm.
me, they're so in just like an influx of just so much information, and I think it's beautiful to learn about your history, to
Mm-hmm.
learn about all these things, but when you can't apply it in today's world, when you know more about whoever, but you don't know what's going on in your child's head. That's what I say. To me,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming because you're now focused on how can I be smarter than the next person on the internet, because all you're doing is looking to debate. You're not looking to actually
Mm-hmm.
grow the culture, heal the culture. And that's what I mean by information being overwhelming, because now they're just a walking dictionary of history. But what good does that know that this person invented vaccinations? Okay, what does that do for me?
Mm-hmm. And so there's that second part is what you talk about, which is intent. Um, you know, I say that the only difference between a superhero and a supervillain is their intention.
That makes
They
sense.
got the same powers. So, and everybody on this planet has the capacity to receive knowledge and understand, even comprehend it. And I don't even like even with all the hoteps and stuff. Um, their main issue for anybody that's like super woke or over woke and stuff like that is they're so angry at the information that they've yet to figure out what that means for the apply to the culture. And I've been there.
Okay.
I've been there.
Oh my goodness, that woke period, that no, the period of reawakening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that period is. When you just been awoke and you're like, oh my goodness. And I don't know who said that quote, but to be woke is to be in hell all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially it is, because you see things that's happening and you be like, this person is not, their eyes are closed, and you want to open them, but people get mad at you taking stars out their
Hmm.
eyes.
Yeah, it's like I said, like if you study, I'm not saying that you haven't, but like as you study how the mind works, I've learned to not get offended by that no more. Like I started studying psychology from the position of arrogance and trying to figure out how to be better than other people. But as I started to see that there's no such thing as normal, there's no such thing as this is the right decision or the wrong decision, about like what's right for me, what's right for, what's right for me may not be what's right for the group. And there's all these different things that's going on and how you can live your life. I started to be like, man, these people don't know what's going on. It's not because they're stupid. For like literally over 1,000 years, the education system has been wrong. For literally over 1,000 years, the most important information has been kept out of the public's hands on purpose. So we're not dealing with this situation because we can't handle the knowledge. We haven't been taught how to handle the knowledge.
That makes sense.
And most of the knowledge has been kept from us. And when you start to tell people what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to think, blah, 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 subconsciously your personality feels like it's being attacked. And there's only two responses that you have to a threat: fight or flight. So you either so let's just say I say, hey, my black sister, you over here with a nose ring in. Did you know that in 1785 the nose ring was considered a sign of slavery or some shit like that, right? And it's like, so, right? It's like, why are you telling me this when it's like they're like more so like, hey, I got all this information. They don't know what to do with it. So it's like, yeah, I could know this piece about history, but if I know you could give a damn. Or if you want to really go back, all this shit come from Africa anyway, so you need to shut up. What are we doing now? Like, that's you got all this history. Great that you had a history. Please write those books down and make sure you spread this history. It's supposed to spread awareness, kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses. But to be angry at the people for not being able to receive the knowledge is as bad as withholding it.
I agree. My mom and I, we were riding down the street and saw them with the microphones arguing with folks, and it was like, that's not how people receive information. They're never going to receive it in that format.
Correct.
You have to talk to people, not at people, and I don't think a lot of people have figured that out yet.
Nah, and a lot of them folks be just really some people do it. Some people get information as a form of self-validation. Once again, the intention. Like I said, I started studying psychology because I wanted to figure out how to best manipulate women. But I got more female friends than I got male friends. And so my female friends, I would see them being manipulated and I would know why. And then sometimes, there was a point in my life where I was doing the manipulation, but I didn't go full turkey, full in there, right, because luckily my parents equipped me with morals.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I see the manipulation, and it's not just in the manipulation when it's not even just for relationships, but mass communication manipulation, education manipulation. I see it all, and I'm like, I see why you would set that up. I just don't like that I'm on the negative end of it.
I agree with that.
And when it comes to white supremacy and stuff like that, I would say that I'm a black supremacist. And if I had the history white people had, according to black people, I'd feel the exact same way. And if I had the money to keep black people down, if I was, I'd be mad, like for real, like just right. If you go by the history, I'd be really upset. And then I got the power to actually put like God's people a little bit under me. Shoot.
Why not?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if that was that kind of hater, but I'm not. That's not my culture. So with that, now that if I do get the power and stuff like that, I'm more about like keeping people, trying to get everybody, on the same knowledge base and stuff like that. But I have a lot of people to fight with when it comes to that. And which kind of leads me to like me doing music and stuff. Because with all this information I have in my head, like you said, it's kind of disheartening for somebody who's, excuse me, I'm plugging up my phone.
Oh, you're fine.
Plugging up my computer. Because I'm not going to lie, with me having all this information and not deciding to be super hotep about it, I'm kind of like in a compromised position. Because I'm like, do I participate in the music industry and feed the beast? Or do I dip out and try to fight the beast and end up broke? Being a broke genius.
Get paid after you die. That's usually what happens with those folks.
Right, exactly. Like, people don't even know that Mozart died poor. Mozart died broke. but we play his music we've been playing his music for 500 years. I ain't Mozart.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't
I'm
want you
Damen
to be
Tolbert.
neither.
Exactly. And he ran himself ragged out there. Mozart. And I see him, like, if you were to think about Mozart is essentially like the equivalent of like a Justin Bieber.
How so?
Grew up in music, kind of like a mix between, like, kind of closer to a Michael Jackson than a Justin Bieber.
Okay.
But what kind of like the parallels between Mozart and Michael Jackson was on the road as a kid, thanks to his daddy, and eventually that became his main gig. He never really grew up, and he never grew up into adulthood because he was always in royalty as a kid playing music.
Okay.
So he never learned how to take care of himself, which is why he ended up broke and poor, because he spent all his money on partying.
See, I never really knew the history of
Hmm.
Mozart, and from time to time, though, I put some classical on.
Oh yeah.
Classical really does something um, in my spirit. I love 420 hertz music.
Mm.
I love neo soul, like just music where I can just close my eyes and I just feel my heart floating with it. Like, because I feel like music can change the tempo of your heart. Sometimes you be in some 808s and you feel your heart fluttering because, I mean, the
Hmm.
beats coming through is like maybe stronger than your heartbeat is sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's really good to tap into music where it just feeds your soul and it makes you grow. And when you were talking about all the owners of the music industry, it makes me think, what if Sam Cooke could have actualized his own record label like he wanted to
Hmm.
do? If he was able to get his own music, like his own masters like he wanted to do, would that be a different scene now? Has Sam Cooke really done his thing?
Yeah, yeah, I would say that 100%. There's always these what ifs in the past,
Yeah,
because we have
that's
this
so true.
technology now. We take advantage that we grew up in like, just think about how, like, dope it is that we grew up in an age where telephones were normal. Before that, it was letters, literal fucking ponies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, but I was still passing letters in school. That
in
was our text
school.
messages. I was laughing. I said, "Did you know that's how we were texting back then? Was if you just
Yeah.
pass notes through class?"
And so, like, I get this joke that I say all the time in comparison to, like, as time goes on, just like, imagine how pissed the Egyptians would be who built the pyramids if they saw a forklift.
I never even thought about it, but yeah, because they're still trying to figure out how they built the pyramids.
Meanwhile, we over here got forklifts, but it's like, as time goes on, people are gonna create things to make things easier for themselves. That's, the nature of invention. That's a spark of creation that we all have within us. Um, so there's no denying that technology is gonna move forward right along with mankind. The only deal is, to what end, like, for what purpose and stuff
Right,
like that.
that's true.
And I want to go back and address, because you had mentioned something about, like, having music that allows you to take off and ascend in certain directions.
Yeah,
And I want to say that I know I've been talking a lot of cynical about the music industry, but there are some gems out there that really have shined through. There's some people, like, when you say music that takes you off, Corinne Bailey Ray is
I
one of
love
my
her music. Her voice is beautiful. It's the it's the vocals for me.
I freaking melt. And to me, somebody like her, who has had little mainstream success but has a consistent fan base, that's because she has control over her artistic direction. She is not doing a revenue model. She had her hits. I'm pretty sure that "Girl Put Your Work" was it's literally the poppiest song she has.
Yeah.
And off that first album, it was my least favorite song. But and I didn't
Now I can
actually.
hear the tune.
Right. And it took me a year and a half after "Girl Put Your Records On" came out to actually listen to Corinne Bailey Ray, because then she put out a video for "Enchantment."
Okay.
And then I was like, "Oh snap, what's this groovy chick doing? Oh, she's that "Girl Put Your Records On" chick." But take this. Right now, my next project I'm going to be releasing is a blues album.
Okay. We not talking about cheating and being drunk, are we?
Of course not, because I'm culturally responsible.
You definitely got to put that tag on there somewhere.
Yeah, I kind of, there's this one song that I kind of just, like, want to, like, make it all about that for no reason. I'm talking about unnecessarily. Like it's obvious I put poetic intention into making this like head ass about blues. But that kind of humor is artistic and art doesn't sell. So I bring up that I'm making a blues album because I know that I have the light of God that shines through me in all of my artistic expressions. So there is no way, and it doesn't matter who you are, no matter what you do, anything that you do is going to have your signature on it for no other reason than you did it. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about trying to be unique about anything. Just continue to make things, and you will be unique. You already are
Okay.
unique.
Wow.
Yeah, like you already are. The thing that you're thinking of doing that people won't like is the thing that somebody is waiting for you to do.
That's I mean that's it in a nutshell. I tell you, after my accident, I was like I can't be in the chokehold anymore. I just gotta put things out there, and I'll find my tribe. My tribe will find me. That's it. I mean, there's what 7 billion people on this
Mm-hmm.
earth. Okay, there's a million people that's gonna follow you at least.
Exactly. You know, you just brought up this really cool analogy in my mind that I'm like, you just spoke to me real
Yeah,
quick, and
we
I got
could.
here's the reflection that I got because I get like I think there's like a mockingbird tree. I live there's trees behind my house and stuff, right?
Okay.
So like every day, every night, there's all sorts of bird calls and stuff, right?
Okay.
Now, how do they know which bird is talking to who? The deal is only certain birds are meant to only hear certain frequencies.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know that.
I mean, literally and like figuratively. Like when when somebody's when got a turned up voice about themselves, you go, that frequency doesn't seem to vibe with me right now,
It does not.
right? So maybe that bird's not calling your call.
Wow, that's really deep about if you're not feeling a vibe, it's because y'all not on the same frequency. It reminds me of the post of somebody said, your relationship is not working, probably because y'all not on the same frequency anymore. And that's it.
Correct.
Is so many of us stay in frequencies that no longer serve us, and we have nothing to show for it other than and then we can't even say a good time because oftentimes people stay in places that is no fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
your dash is this little, right? And you should not spend your time in this little bitty dash you get on this earth somewhere that you're not happy, somewhere you're not vibing. And that includes even listening to music that keeps you in a depressed mode. I even learned that, when I get my feelings hurt, I used to go to really sad music. I learned I can't do that. In fact, I go to music that get me hype, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's about the frequency that you're gonna end up resonating with. And between like psychology, music, and spirituality, I've come to and not only like physics. Physics, I've studied some quantum physics concepts. All of that tells me that everything is frequency. Everything is a frequency at different levels. Like with light, you got your visible light, but the visible light spectrum is this big. Meanwhile, the gamma ray spectrum is this big. The
Right.
X-ray spectrum is this big, and it's all light. But you can't see it. But your
Right.
TV can. Your phone
Your phone
can.
can.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if it's all frequency, then it's all about getting in tune with the 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 testatura or the bandwidth that you can actually start to hear it for real. You know,
Okay. Get in where you fit in. One band. Oh, one
one sound.
sound.
You already know.
So where can people tap in with you at? You said that you were dropping your next single. He does have an album already out, right? You got 3 albums, right?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of lost track
Oh,
doing stuff.
excuse me.
Yeah, I think I got 3 albums, 2 EPs. I got a few
Okay.
projects out.
So where can we stream your music? When is the drop date for the next album? Where can we
So
learn more about you?
you can check out my mixtape. It's hot fire. No, but
It is.
but you can go to DamenTolbert.com. That's where you have not only my music but also my poetry and some of my writings as well, including a little series about me as a superhero that I started when I was a teenager.
Cute.
Quite hilarious. Um, So I got that DamenTolbert.com. My Instagram is at Dimensional, DamenTional. Then of course on Facebook, the my music you can find on all streaming platforms. If you can't, call me. I'm gonna put it on there just for you and tag you in the first comment. All
Okay.
right. The next, I told you I had a blues EP that I'm working
Yeah.
on. That's pending. I'm trying to get that out sooner than later, probably in August. But September 22nd is I'm dropping Groove Absolute, which is the second EP, but it's the second half of the project that I've been working on this year. Um, so it was Uplifted Lover released recently. And then the second half is Groove Absolute.
Okay.
And the reason why these projects are going to be different than my previous ones is that my previous projects were art projects, as
Okay.
in I was expressing myself. These projects are performances, and it's for people to like. You know,
Okay.
I do want you to like it, and if you don't like it, I'll go change it. My previous stuff, if you don't like it, then you need to reevaluate yourself.
That's what Erica Badu say. I'm an artist.
So I'm sensitive about my shit. But like, I did want to. You mind if I like
No.
touch on that a little
Yep.
bit?
You do your thing.
Okay, because I've been saying the word artist and stuff like that. Because I've really been tapping into the word. You know, art is when you create something that's new and special and stuff like that. So as an artist, I internally am dedicated to creating something new and special. But that doesn't make money all the time, and you got to be aware of that when you're in an art industry.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're doing pure art for the sake of art, do not expect to make a living wage. That's not reasonable. It may break your heart to say that, but it's not reasonable. So if you're going to continue to make art and try to make a living wage, then you need to focus on also making art products
Mm.
where you use your artistic skills to create things that other people want. It may not be what you want, but that's what other people want. And people, you need money from other people.
You do.
You know, so if your music is naturally offensive, yeah, it's going to get a lot of attention, but no one's going to buy it. You know, and if they do buy anything, it'll probably be the product that you're selling after getting their attention. But I really want as many artists out there to really just like snap into reality and realize that as an artist, you are a spiritual warrior. Your job is to take messages that are from frequencies from literally the spirit world and manifest them in a physical form.
That's it.
However you do it is your art form, whether it's visual art, dance, music, you know, whatever it is, that's your art. Even speaking to people in a certain way, public speaking is an art. You know, there's a lot of
Yes.
different art forms. Teaching is an art. So, however you can take information from the spirit world and make it physical, that's your spiritual power. That's what
Mm.
you. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the things that you're here to do. So, in that, you got to remember that that's not for making money. You are not an artist to make money. If you're a true artist, be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Go get a job. If you want to make art products, just know that what you're dealing with is not art. It is psychology and marketing. And unless you have a strong hold in psychology and marketing, do not expect to make money off your art products either.
Mm.
Right? The analogy I use for that is think about a throne versus a regular folding chair. How many people out here buying thrones?
Not many.
Right? So let's just say the highest one throne might cost $1 million. I might get a customer every 6 months, right? If I do real good marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But the folding chairs sell every day.
Hand over fist.
Exactly. Which one took more artistic knowledge to make?
Definitely the throne chair.
But which one is making more money?
The foldable.
But do you think that the person who made the throne don't know how to make a folding chair?
No, they know how to make it.
So why is it taboo for me to make art and an art product?
Mm.
Why can't I sell my
Speaking of,
thrones once every 6 months, but also sell these folding chairs every day? And
okay.
that's what I'm working on. So I recognize that blues is a genre of music. I have been trained in music composition, creation, and all that good stuff. Why not put together a blues album for people who like the blues? My spirit is to spread the spirit of love, so it's gonna come through the expression. I have no that's not even optional because it's me making it. I don't lose.
Love it.
Hmm.
Definitely. I'm feeling that on I Don't Lose. He's actually dropping a music video, so I'm going to attach that to this interview so y'all can check out his exclusive. That's my boy Damen Tolbert, aka Next Dimension. We go way back. Say it
Hey,
again, UAPB all day
oh,
and every day. If y'all
hmm,
looking for HBCU, check out the Golden Lions. They
hey,
still there.
let go Lions.
All right, y'all, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pretty Woman Speaks with your lady, Amy the Seventh. Again, this was Next Dimensional, a saxophonist, a producer, a writer, a composer, and the list goes on. I can't name everything that this man does because he is still growing and finding himself in the spiritual war plane right here on the physical realm. So I'm loving it. I hope that y'all receive a lot of love, a lot of influence in the best way from this episode. I drop every Monday at 7 p.m. Amy the 7th. You can find me on all streaming platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Check me out. Make sure you follow and like my Facebook and Instagram page, Amy the 7th. Peace and love, y'all.
Peace.
To all my fly ladies and cool dudes, put down your phone and turn off the tube. It's time to get into the mood.
This is for the lover in you. This is for the moon. This is for the moon, yeah.
This is for the mood.
This is for the lover in you. This is for the moon. This is for the lover in you. This is for the moon. This is for the moon. This is for the lover in you. This is for the moon. This is for the moon. This is for the moon, yeah. This is for the lover in you. This is for the moon. This is for the moon, yeah. This is for the lover in you. This is for the groove. This is for the mood, yeah. This is for the groove, yeah. This is for the lover in you. This is for the lover in you. This is for the
Those were some smooth moves to an absolute groove. We hope you too got into the move.